agree that's asking a lot of teachers, more from that teacher. Now I have to watch out if Johnny's writing a note to Sally's. Now I have to worry about texting and all this other stuff. I mean, it's a distraction. I mean, I agree that working a lot, they need to learn, but I also agree that there needs to be a structure to it. It's just like you're saying, okay, here, bring, like somebody else has already said, here, you can have your phone, bring it to school.
I think we need to give our kids some credit on this. I mean, I have 5th graders, and if I tell them, here's your piece of paper, you sign saying you're not going to text during school, you're not going to play games, you're going to use it for what it's used for, and if you don't, it gets taken away. They're not going to do what they're not allowed to do, because that's the way I raised my kids.
I'm sorry,
so,
didn't he just say earlier that he has seen, he's been walking in the hallway and he's heard so-and-so
well,
say,
that's
not every child.
sure, there's kids
I
out
know
there
it's
that
not
aren't going to
every
break the
child,
rules.
but that's still distraction.
But we still have to give our kids some, we have to trust our kids, we have to trust our teachers, that's what this pilot is about.
Did you also say that if
just
it's
for the
locked,
sake
they
of
can't text anyway?
right, just for the sake of time, is there something that?
Well, I think one thing that I wanted to address was maybe some of the concern of the 2nd grade parents. And I don't want you to forget that a lot of 2nd grade is still direct instruction. So there are opportunities throughout the day when your children are still learning in a more direct way their reading and their math. However, during those subjects, there are also opportunities for practice. We have reading workshop, it's called reading workshop time, and there's some other math times, and those are perfect opportunities for students in grade 2 if they have a device to do some additional reading and math practice. So it will look differently at different grade levels, but there are opportunities for students, even at the 2nd grade level, should you choose to use it. But in 2nd grade, they're still doing a lot of directed instruction, and I don't want anybody to forget that either.
So are there any questions that we maybe didn't hit?
Completely non-related, well, related, but separate, we'll say. We talked a lot about iPads, mostly Apple products. What if it's a phone that's not, that just has web browsing capability?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The platform debates of the past are of the past. The tools that students are using, things are, you hear the buzzword, the cloud, and that's the reality of it, is devices that have browsers. Devices are getting smaller, and the reality is that these are, what looks like a cell phone is a computer. These cell phones are computers, and so I would sit there and I can look up something, get information on it. So I think what we used to say, well, that's a computer, it's changing, it's different. We're not, going to have platform debates because I was part of those 12 years ago, didn't get us anywhere. I was part of them 7 years ago, it wasn't helpful. It doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't help students. And so platform is not going to be an issue.
I just got one quick question. I know that in the other elementary schools, they get cubbies. You really can't lock stuff up. Or they have a desk, it's open. I just want to say thank God my younger daughter doesn't get access to do this, because I'm sure that that device wouldn't survive the playground. Or they just la la la, and it would be left somewhere and whatever. But here, probably there's lockers, and can they lock? Can they put a padlock on the locker, stick their thing in there, and then go do something in class and use it as a tool, but also be able to secure the device? Is that going to be okay?
Yes.
You do?
Yep,
Great.
absolutely.
Okay.
And we can offer those locks too.
Oh, okay.
We have
Super.
those locks.
There you go. Thank you.
So I think from
Matt?
here we have some information. Yep.
I'm sorry, but I didn't get an answer to my question.
Okay.
We're all trying to figure out how this classroom on a daily basis will operate. So I'm wanting to know, is it a competitive thing if the teacher's talking about a particular subject, the Civil War? And the topic was what Dr. Littlefield was saying. Do the children who have devices get the answers and keep it to themselves, or do they share it with the classroom and the classroom teacher so they can discuss it?
That's a good question.
That's what. Is there a competitive edge that's being introduced
I
here?
understand your question.
Thank you.
And I think that one of the major components of 21st century learning is we talk about collaboration, and collaboration is a huge part of that. And I think anything that we do, we want to encourage collaboration. And I think what, in all of our efforts, we want students to be working together. And there's also a part to that, which is publishing. We talked a lot about having, a tool that students will be able to publish something and contribute, whether that be to, a school newspaper or a wiki or a blog or something like that. So we definitely, I would say that, we would have them involved in publishing what they're working on as well. Collaboration and publishing, so.
Publishing meaning what? I'm sorry.
Whether they're publishing answers to, a wiki, or just taking the information and doing something meaningful with it so that they have ownership of it. I think that's going to be one of the skills that, is really required as they get into the 21st century and, jobs in the 21st century. So,
is there any potential for, one of the things that's my concern is video, and I know that at the beginning of the school year, I get a thing saying, do I want my son or daughter to be photographed,
right,
video, and so forth. Since you said it was a closed network, so there's no opportunity for certain things to get out, or is there going to be limitations in regards to what they can video, they can.
Yeah, like right now that, we have devices here on campus that have capability for doing video. We had a great example was an 8th grade teacher the other day. Actually, one of our 6th grade teachers had 10 iPads in the classroom. He actually was using 5 of them. He had different groups. And as they were working on the project, they were videotaping the project just using the iPad, something that they wouldn't be able to do walking down to a computer lab, obviously. So they were in the classroom. Students were able to record the project that they were working on and then manipulate it using one of the applications that was on the iPad, watch it back, see what changes they needed to make on that project. And this was like real time. And they were really getting into it. So one of the students was, this is a kid who doesn't usually get engaged in things, and he was just coming alive.
Yeah, I've seen that with the ALPS program, while they're doing the projects and such, but there's no chance of those types of things getting out.
There's always that chance. I think even if we have the safest, I can tell you that, our network is 100% safe. The reality is that, there's always chances of things happening. We do the best we can to put those safeguards in place.
They can take those devices home and then get wide open at that point and post everything.
But we're going to do the best we can to keep it, as secure as we do now. So.
And I'm not familiar with all the policies, so like on cyberbullying and that kind of thing. And for people taking videos of people when they don't know. And, I mean, I could see someone getting hurt and they're crying, and someone says, they can take that video and upload it. I mean, what kind of, what are we going to do to mitigate that?
The bullying policies, those are all, policies we have in place. And we treat those the same, absolutely.
But if they're personally owned devices, you can't control that completely. If they're using their iPhone to videotape something and they go home and post it on YouTube, you can't control it. It's
if they have a
personally owned.
YouTube account, if the parents allow them to have a YouTube account and they do something like that,
Right.
I don't have any control over that, right? I think one opportunity that we do have is that we talk about digital citizenship, and the students, we have an opportunity to come alongside and help students navigate the digital world, rather than just say, let's say no to having the devices. Let's just pretend like they don't use these things, and or let's just. I guess what I'm saying is that we have an opportunity to help them learn what's right and wrong. When you find information, how do you take that information and compare it against something else? we have, we have that opportunity now, and I think, if we do it right, we can really help. So, yeah.
I just want to say something just from a personal perspective. I had 5 boys, and when I have an Excel spreadsheet now, I go to my 8th grader and he figures it out for me. I think we have to look at the technology and just say, okay, it exists, it's here, let's embrace it, let's, as parents, let's monitor and assist and be there to support them. But by trying to deny that it's important or that it exists or that it's a vehicle for education is being very short-sighted for these kids right now. We have to look at it and understand the importance in their lives and how that's going to help them as they grow. Because right now, I've got one kid at UNH and he knows all this stuff and he's great at it and he's succeeding and I trust him and I have a lot of faith in him. And without having the digital availability, he would have never been able to succeed as far as he has. Are there going to be distractions? Sure. We've had distractions when we were putting notes under the tables or when we were falling asleep in class or when I'm doodling because I was an art person, They all exist, it's just a different vehicle.
So we'll do one final.
I just want to make a comment. I run a corporation. I'm a little older than some here. I was born in the 50s. I grew up during the 60s. It was a different time. Classroom study was very rigid at that time. It was pretty much, they went at the pace of the slowest. And I got to say that, and then did graduate work in physics. I'm very excited about the program. I think it's a very bold move. I think it's pretty exciting. And I think it's going to offer opportunities to our children to expand the rate at which they learn and the vast volume of knowledge that's out there. I started college with a slide rule because I couldn't afford a calculator. And it seems to me that these devices are around. They use them every day. My daughter comes home from school, runs right to the computer so she can do her homework, so she can research the project she's working on. To have that tool in school is a vast improvement over we've been whacking this thing with a 40-pound sledge for the last 50 or 60 years. Let's just keep hitting that rock. I think you guys have taken a bold step, and I got to applaud you for it. So, we will, or we'd be glad to answer other questions. I know some people had questions you didn't get to ask. I think this is important. I think